The story follows a French soldier who had once been a nightmare for the Nazi army. But now he was tired of fighting and wanted to spend the rest of his life in peace. However, peace seemed impossible. One day, while drinking water from a river, he spots some pieces of gold, which makes him believe there's a hidden gold mine nearby. He starts digging around the riverbank, and after several days of hard work, he finally discovers a large amount of gold buried in the soil. Seeing the gold fills him with joy, as he is convinced that this treasure will allow him to live the rest of his life in comfort. But things take a turn. Nazi soldiers, while searching the area, stumble upon him and the gold. They capture him, hang him from a tree, and assume he's dead. Taking the gold, they leave. However, the soldier cleverly saves himself by balancing on the noose without being strangled to death. Determined to get his gold back, he launches an all-out assault on the Nazis. He attacks their tanks, shoots at them, and even clings onto an airplane while firing his gun. Will this lone soldier manage to take revenge on the entire Nazi army and reclaim his treasure? To find out, let's dive into the detailed explanation of the film. The movie begins by showing an old French soldier named Sisu, who has grown tired of fighting during World War II and now just wants to live the rest of his life peacefully. But fate has other plans. One day, while drinking water from a river, he sees some gold pieces in the water and quickly realizes that there must be a gold mine nearby. Sisu spends several days digging around the river, all the while warplanes fly overhead, but he is no longer concerned with the war. Finally, after much effort, Sisu discovers a large amount of gold. He fills a bag with the gold, ties it to his horse, and sets off, with his small dog by his side. While on his journey, Sisu encounters a Nazi general named Brando, who is heading back to Germany with about 50 soldiers. The soldiers are also transporting several Finnish women, whom they have taken as prisoners to satisfy their desires. Sisu, with just one glance, understands the situation but chooses to ignore them and continue on his way. One of Brando's special soldiers tries to aim and shoot Sisu, but the general stops him, saying there's no need to kill him. The soldiers behind will take care of him. Sisu continues riding forward on his horse, passing through areas where many dead soldiers are hanging. Eventually, he encounters another group of Nazi soldiers. As they approach him, they demand he gets off his horse, and during a search, they discover his gold. Sisu quickly understands that they will soon try to kill him and take his gold. Sensing the danger, he instructs his dog to run away. The Nazi soldiers fire at the dog, but fortunately, none of the bullets hit it. One soldier moves towards Sisu to kill him, but Sisu swiftly attacks with his knife and kills him on the spot. Before the other soldiers can aim their guns and fire, Sisu kills 2 more soldiers with his knife. The remaining soldiers start firing a barrage of bullets, but Sisu uses one of the dead soldiers as a shield and manages to survive. He finishes off the last soldier by striking him with a helmet. Hearing the loud gunfire, General Brando and his men become alarmed and decide to turn back to check. When they arrive, they see the dead bodies of their soldiers. One of the dying soldiers pulls out a piece of gold from his pocket and tells them that the old man has a lot of gold. This is where the story takes an exciting turn. The general decides to go after the soldier to get the gold. After walking for a while, they spot Sisu and begin firing shells at him. Sisu quickly speeds up his horse and disappears from sight. Unfortunately, he ends up in a field full of landmines. The general, watching from a distance in his tank, witnesses this. Suddenly, there is a loud explosion, and Sisu's horse is killed. Sisu himself is severely injured. He quickly starts gathering up all his gold, and before the general's soldiers can fire at him, Sisu detonates a mine, creating a massive cloud of smoke. Using the smoke as cover, Sisu defends himself from the general's gunfire and escapes. However, the general loses many of his soldiers to the mines. Finally, by using the Finnish women as a shield, they manage to cross the minefield. The general, curious about this soldier, checks through radio channels and learns that the Finnish soldier's name is Korpio, one of the deadliest commandos of World War II. Korpio's family was brutally murdered by Nazi soldiers, and since then, he has turned into a monster of vengeance, killing over 300 soldiers. The radio warns the general not to pursue him. Meanwhile, Sisu hides behind a truck and begins treating his wounds. Exhausted, he falls asleep, After a while, the general and his men arrive at the same spot, this time bringing dogs to track Sisu. Sisu hides under a tank and pours gasoline over himself to mask his scent from the dogs. However, when the dogs spot him trying to escape, they start barking. To scare them off, Sisu sets himself on fire and dives into a river. When he doesn't surface for a long time, the general sends soldiers into the water to retrieve the gold. But Sisu, still alive underwater, kills both soldiers. Another soldier refuses the general's order to enter the water, and Jack kills him for disobedience. Sisu uses the dead body as a shield and escapes. His dog, who is still nearby, barks, trying to get to its owner. The general then devises a plan to capture Sisu using his own dog. As Sisu continues his journey, we see the Nazis have set fire to an entire village. Sisu stops to rest near a gas station, but then hears his dog barking. When he grabs his dog, he realizes a bomb is attached to it. He quickly removes and throws the bomb, and it explodes, leaving Sisu wounded. This gives the general a chance to capture him, taking all of his gold and hanging him from a rope, leaving him to die. The general believes Sisu is dead, but Sisu manages to balance himself on a nail to stay alive. Sisu hangs there all night while his dog waits beside him. The next morning, a petrol plane lands nearby, and the gust from its engines causes Sisu to fall to the ground. Two pilots exit the plane, and one moves to shoot Sisu, but before he can fire, Sisu attacks and kills him. He injures the second pilot by hitting him with a brick. After treating his wounds, Sisu decides to use the plane to follow the general and take revenge. On the other side, the general comes across a crashed plane with a dead pilot. Jack tells him that the same rope they used to hang Sisu was tied around the pilot's neck. The general realizes that Sisu is still alive, and this was his message, that he's coming for them. The general orders his men to leave quickly. Meanwhile, two Nazi soldiers in a truck transporting the Finnish women discuss Sisu. One woman, Madonna, says that in their village, it is believed that Sisu is immortal and cannot be killed. Just then, Sisu attacks the soldiers and enters the truck, realizing the women were taken as prisoners. The women grab guns and offer to help Sisu. Sisu kills the driver, and Brenda takes over the wheel. She drives the truck closer to another vehicle, and the Finnish women open fire, killing all the soldiers. Sisu climbs onto a tank and tries to break open its door. Jack suddenly stops the tank, causing Sisu to fall. Jack exits the tank and starts firing at him. Sisu climbs back onto the tank from behind and grabs Jack. They both fall off the tank and start fighting. Two more Nazi soldiers arrive, but seeing Sisu, are terrified and run away. Sisu spares Jack and takes their vehicle to go after the general. It's later revealed that Sisu left Jack alive with the Finnish women. After a while, the general spots a plane and decides to escape by air this time. As the plane begins to take off, Sisu sees it and, using his axe, clings onto the plane. Sisu breaks into the plane, and the general hears noises from the back. When he goes to check, he faces off with Sisu once again. This time, the general seems to have the upper hand, but Sisu cleverly attaches a bomb chain to the general and throws him out of the plane. The general falls, triggering the bomb and getting blown up. During the fight, the pilot had already been shot, and soon after, the plane crashes into a swamp. Meanwhile, the Finnish women take Jack and head to their army base, with Jack hanging from the tank. Seeing the Nazi soldier hanging, the Finnish army understands that these are their women. Lastly, we see a hand emerge from the swamp where the plane had crashed. Sisu has survived. In the final scene, Sisu walks into a bank with his dog, and the terrified expression on the bank staff's faces makes it clear that they recognize him. He empties his bag of gold onto the table and asks them to give him money in exchange. And that is the end of the movie. If you liked this explanation, please like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.